Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Supremely Enlightened One. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Supremely Enlightened One. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Supremely Enlightened One. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Now, tonight I'm going to take you to a sutta teaching about developing mindfulness to the body. So we already learned about these meditations. We studied about breathing. We studied about other meditations like postures and channel ground meditation. Now, during today's discussion, I'm going to share you an important teaching that Buddha given once about being mindfulness to the body and how to practice this mindfulness to the body. I mean, we studied about doing the exact way how we can meditate, but Buddha say in this sutta, when there is no these things, these special qualities, it will stop our practice. It will block our practice. It won't give us this necessary motivation to keep sustaining our mindfulness. Okay, we will study about that. I'm going to share the screen with you. If you have a book or if you can remember these, there are 6 qualities. Please try to remember. And you can also try to write it down. So this will be very helpful to our meditations. The name of the sutta itself is actually contemplating the body. Okay. Now Buddha said to the Bhantes, bhikkhus, without having abandoned 6 things, without having abandoned 6 things, one is incapable of contemplating the body in the body. Incapable of contemplating the body in the body. Body in the body means to observe the body just as it is. It is impossible to do that if there are these 6 things. First, we try to know what are these 6 things. What 6? The first one, delight in work. You can write down, delight in work. Next, delight in talk. Next, delight in sleep. Third one. Fourth one, delight in company. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fifth one, not guarding the doors of the sense faculties. We will talk about that during today's discussion. We will study about in more details. And being immoderate in eating. Sixth one. immoderate in eating. Without having abandoned these 6 things, one is incapable of contemplating the body in the body. If we explain this a little bit more, it is difficult and it is hard to do the meditation on breathing if a person is delight in work, delight in talk, delight in sleep, delight in company, not guarding the doors of the sense faculties, and being immoderate in eating. Without abandoning them, without abandoning these things, whether one does say breathing meditation or posture meditation or full awareness or 4 elements, charnel ground meditation, all of these are difficult to do when there are these 6 things. Okay? Now, Buddha say, because having abandoned these 6 things, one is capable of contemplating the body in the body, which means they can easily meditate on the body when they abandon these 6 things. What 6? Again, the same things. Abandoning delight in work, abandoning delight in talk, abandoning delight in sleep, abandoning delight in company, and guarding the sense doors, sense faculties. And the last one being abandoning immoderate in eating, which means moderate in eating. Having abandoned these 6 things, one is capable of contemplating the body in the body. Now, the first thing is that we need to have faith on this teaching. How do we get the faith? We trust, okay, this is said by the Buddha, and this is the exact way that it happens. If I were to have these 6 things in me, I won't be able to meditate properly. But if I abandon these things, I can easily meditate. Mind will come to the body easily if I abandon these negative things. Okay? Then I can continue my meditation more easily. It's a very short sutta, but we will study about this in more detail today. Okay, friends. Now let's see how many you remember. Why is it difficult for us to meditate on breathing? Number 1.
Delight in work, Bante.
Yes, first one, delight in work. Please hang on, there is some explanations behind this. It's not saying that you should not work, so stop all the works. No. The first one, delight in work. Second one,
Delight in talk.
yes, delight in talk. Let's see the third one. Who can tell me the third point?
Delight in sleep.
Yes, delight in sleep. Fourth one,
Delight in company.
delight in company. Yes. Fifth one,
Delight in
this is
guarding
fourth. Okay.
6 senses.
Sixth one,
Moderate.
yes, immoderate in eating. Without abandoning those 6 things, it's not possible to meditate on breathing, meditate on postures. So that means there can be some kind of a block or kind of like restriction or kind of limitation by having these things. Okay. Now, one thing to be more focused in this sutta is that when Buddha explains this, he didn't say that by doing the work, that you will not be able to meditate. But Buddha say, if you take the work as the source of delight completely, forgetting about the meditations, that will be a block to your meditations. That will be a block to your mindfulness. Delight in work. What do you think? Are there like enjoyment by doing the work?
There can be.
Yes, there is some happinesses when we think about the work, when we plan about our work, when we fantasize about our work. If we entirely focus to doing the chores, activities, and whatever comes up in life, in our schedules, if we go more and more into the work, there is an enjoyment, there is a kind of a happy feeling by being lost among those work. It's not just saying that the work that we do in our ordinary life, but it can, whatever the work. Now, this one actually given to the monastics, to the Bhantes. Bhantes too has works, not only the householders. Bhantes has works, the things to be careful, like to care. For an example, let's say Bhantes build temples, and then Bhantes add more parts to the temples, and then run the communities, and then talk about other worldly affairs, and then engage with those works. Now, Buddha said, if you find yourself only enjoyment about doing all those things, then you will delight in that. Then that will be a hindrance, a kind of a block, a kind of a limitation for you to observe the breathing. For an example, let's say this person, whether householder or a monastic, go under a tree or to an empty hall or to a room to continue the meditation. What comes to the mind? Did I pay the bills? Did I talk to the boss? So that coworker is not really good. Why these people treat me like that? So these thoughts come to the mind. Because our entire focus, our entire mind is on the work. By thinking about that, thinking about the wages, thinking about the salary, those things being enjoyment. Then Buddha say, if you delight on that, then you will abandon the spiritual life, you will abandon the meditations. Then it's so harder for you to concentrate. Okay? When the mind lost among the worldly concerns, there is a happiness. Because mind is going, wandering here and there. And it brings us tiredness sometimes, it brings us stress sometimes. Of course, it has such a stress because of the wandering mind. But now the Buddha say, if one delights on that, that person incapable to meditate on the body. That's a very good point here, Buddha say. One day Buddha say in a simile that monks, you should take care about your training. In the same time, you are taking care about the other activities. Because we cannot neglect that. Buddha say, if someone is in an illness, let's say someone is in need for some kind of a care, if we neglect that, if we abandon that, oh, I should meditate, I should not go and look after this monk because I have to meditate. If one neglect that, Buddha say, that's neglecting the mindfulness. That's not in the practice when you avoid those things. Those things must be practiced. And in the same time, Buddha say, you should take care about your meditations too. But if someone take the delight on the work won't solve all the problems. The problems come to us doing these works and doing these activities won't fix all the things. When we attend to others' needs and others' wantings, in the same time, we need to care about our own meditations. That's how the Buddha taught. Okay. Now the Buddha say in a simile, it is like this. There is a cow and there is the calf. Now the cow is having the grass, eating the food, and in the same time, cow is looking at the calf. Where my calf is? Where is my child? Where is this child is living in this time? Is this calf in the meadows? Is it close to the river? Is there a danger? Or should I look? Should I go there? But in the same time, the cow is eating the grass. You see, the cow doesn't abandon its duty, its responsibility, and in the same time, it keep an eye on the calf, eating the grass and also looking at the calf. Same way, Buddha say to the practitioner, when you are a householder or when you are a monastic, monk or a nun, so both of those practitioners should take care about the meditation and at the same time take care about their duties, their activities, their work. But what happens if there is an imbalance? What do you think, friends? If someone is only taking care about the worldly concerns, only doing the work, what would happen to our meditations? Yes, we won't be able to do it and we won't be able to continue it. It would be a very difficult thing to do. That's why Buddha say here, without abandoning delight in work, it's incapable to focus to the breath. Does that make sense? Yes. It's not that one is abandoning the work, but doing the work and doing the meditations too. So can we find such a time in our day-to-day life to do a meditation just the same way that we do work? Or do we do work more and do less meditations? Okay. Next one. What was the next? Second one.
Delight in talk.
Yes, delight in talk. And the third one, delight in sleep. Okay. Now these things has a kind of a enjoyment. That's why people do it. Like let's say for an example, talk. When we talk, there is enjoyment. When we talk about other things like the gossips or the people about the people, what will happen in the future and what happened in the past. So these things brings a kind of information, and at the same time, it can bring us kind of a delight. And then if we start to do it more and more, it won't be easy to observe the breathing. Because when we go to the peaceful place, our mind is always wandering to the things that we talked. This happens quite a lot in retreats. When we go to the retreats, in the retreats there are many people who are joining with us. So we are curious. So we think, okay, I should start a conversation. What happens is that it's said that it's very difficult to obtain the first jhana when someone is addicted to the speech. Okay? The first jhana is vitakka vichara. The first one, from the first jhana was vitakka vichara. Vitakka vichara means this our thinking before we speak. Before we speak, we normally think. That's vitakka vichara. Now, it will not be rest if we start up a conversation, if we carry on that. Then we sit down to meditate. Our mind reminds about the speeches we did. We remember about the things we learned, we asked from others. Okay, so Buddha say, delight in speech won't make a person to be peaceful. I remember in a certain story, one day there was a king, and the king's assistants, a minister, say that to the king, you know, king, the Buddha is living in that forest, and Buddha is among with thousands of monks. It said that there was 1,256 monks living with the Buddha. Shall we go? Then the king said, yes, of course, let's go and see the Buddha. He said that this king never seen the Buddha, and then he wanted to see this marvelous sage. So he said, okay, let's go. Now, while the minister took this king to the forest, he went with all the retinue, all the forces and the other animals, the chariots, making so much big noise to the forest. And he said that all the Bhantes, together with the Buddha, are meditating. Some of them are under the trees, some of them are doing walking meditation, but really peaceful. Now slowly they entered to the forest, and then King didn't hear any sound from the forest. King didn't see the monks yet, but the minister said there are 1,256 Bhantes. Then the king was so much scared. He was worried. Minister, did you deceive me? Minister, are you going to kill me here and going to take my country? He was so scared. He asked, I didn't hear any sound. But you say there are 1,000 people here. I don't believe you. Why? Because he didn't hear any sound. While there were thousands of people, the monks are there in the forest. The king couldn't imagine that can happen. Why? Because all the Bhantes are doing the meditations. And they were super peaceful, so calm, and no noise. They are not starting off a conversation to fix the problems, but they were doing the meditations by themselves. And then later, so this king saw the Buddha and then saw the monks. The king and the minister was really happy to see that those Bhantes are doing meditations peacefully. You know, the silence has so much enjoyment. Silence has so much deep happiness. So they were enjoying that in that moment. So if a person do too much speech and too much talk, that can distract the mind. That can increase the restlessness of the mind. Because we are continuously processing, continuously producing thoughts to speak. Then Buddha say, if one delight in speak, when one delight in discussions, that blocks their mindfulness, and they won't be able to observe the body in body peacefully. Okay, that's the second one. And that doesn't mean stopping all the talks. Now in Buddhism, there is no such a practice that you are not talking at all. Okay, so we need to talk. We need Dhamma talks. We need to study. We need to speak about the practices. But there are some talks Buddha say not to do. There are some talks Buddha say avoid to speak. Have you heard about this before? Some of the talks to be avoided?
Harsh speak, Bante.
Yes. Let me see if I can share the sutta with you. Okay.
Saying lies, like false things.
Yes, yes. That distract the mind. Yes. What else? Okay. Do you see this sutta, friends?
Yes, Bante.
Pointless talk. Now Buddha says, bhikkhus, do not engage in the various kinds of pointless talk. Buddha said that. When the Buddha said this, monks are ready to accept that because of the faith. So then they stop talking there. That is, talk about kings, talk about thieves, talk about ministers of a state, talk about armies, dangers, and wars, talk about food, drink, garments, beds, talk about garlands and scents, talk about relations, vehicles, villages, towns, cities, countries, talk about women, talk about heroes, street talk, and talk by the well. Talk by the well means it said that in that time people gathered to the well to draw the water and they start to talk there about something happened like in their families, about their children, such talks, like sometimes something happened in the neighbor's house or something. Because people gathered to the well, it said talk by the well. There can be such similar things today also. Talk about those departed in days gone by. Rambling chit chat. Speculation about the world and about the sea. This is something that can entangle us, the speculation about the world, whether the world, what's the shape of the world. Talk about becoming this or that. For what reason? Because this talk is unbeneficial, irrelevant to the fundamentals of the holy life, and does not lead to revulsion, dispassion, cessation, to peace, to direct knowledge, to enlightenment, to Nibbana. In respect to the Nibbana, which means enlightenment, these talks are useless. These talks are unbeneficial. Of course, to the mindfulness too, because mindfulness in the path of the enlightenment. So if one can avoid these talks, it will definitely help one to meditate peacefully. Because the reason why these are called something to be avoided is because these are pointless. Talking them has no end. For an example, let's take something from here. Let's say we talk about garments like the clothes. Is there an end to these? When you talk, Buddha say, because you talk about this is suffering, which means Dhamma. You should talk about this is the origin of suffering. That's also Dhamma. This is the cessation of suffering. You should talk. This is the way leading to the cessation of suffering. For what reason? Because this is beneficial, relevant to the fundamentals of the holy life, and leads to revulsion, dispassion, cessation, peace, to direct knowledge, to enlightenment, to Nibbana. If one were to do this kind of a talk, it will definitely lead to the peace and to the mindfulness, and in that respect to an end. Because that is talking about our lives and how to be peaceful, how to be mindful. Okay, friends? So according to the sutta, there are 32 of these talks, Buddha say, to avoid. So there is a delight in them. When we talk about all these, there is a delight, there is enjoyment. Then Buddha say, when one only delights on the speech, they won't be able to meditate on the breathing peacefully. So we can see, friends, what are these difficulties, why we cannot meditate easily. Even in a retreat day, it's so hard to convince, like it's so hard to explain that we should guard our speech because it's kind of an addiction. Okay. I think in a household life, this is something that people mostly talk. If you take your food without talking with the person next to you, the person might ask you, "What's wrong with you?" Then you say, I'm meditating. Then, yes, it won't work. So the challenge is up to you. Okay, friends? At least if we can give some answers and pause there, will help us to avoid that pointlessness. Yeah, when it goes to pointless speech, so that distract the mind. Okay, even in the news, when we watch news, we see the news is all about countries, government, ministers, what ministers did, what ministers like, about the celebrities, what they like to talk, what they like to eat. So these things are useless, unbeneficial to a peaceful meditation. Okay? So trying our best to protect our speech will definitely help us to do a peaceful meditation. But they say without abandoning these, you won't be able to observe the breathing. Delight in work, delight in talk, delight in sleep, and delight in company. Normally, company means living with a big company, with associating with many people together in a place. Especially this happens in a meditation retreat too, like when people meet together, so there is a company. Then that's the place where people start to talk and talk about the work and then talk, and then there is no any peace of mind. So then naturally we fall into sleepiness. So then there is delight in sleep. We talked about this only this for today, and I will share you about the guarding sense doors in a future session. And without abandoning this four, Buddha say it's hard to do the meditation and breathing. And after abandoning these things, Buddha say you can meditate peacefully. Okay? Then it's not about abandoning the work, abandoning the talk, abandoning the sleep, abandoning the company, but not delighting on these things. If we keep all these things as the source for our happiness, for our enjoyment, that won't let us to do a peaceful meditation. I remember in another sutta, Sariputra Bhante say, for a one who is having this kind of a lifestyle, Buddha say, the Bhante say, there is no a good and a peaceful death for them. When a person is dying, that won't be a good one, that won't be a peaceful one. They mostly scare because of their lack of the spiritual practices, because their life was completely on worldly conditions. Like their happiness, their delight was among the material things, among the worldly things, that they won't have a peace of mind. They didn't meditate it, or they didn't practice mindfulness, because these are source of enjoyment. For them, when they depart, it won't be a happy one. Even in the moments that they will leave the world, won't be a happy. because of lack of the peace of mind. Okay? In another way, these are a kind of an enemy to our peace of mind. Okay, friends? I will share you about this rest of the other two things in a later section, okay? Sound, sound, sound. What are your thoughts about these?
I think it would be hard not to talk about some of these things. Like I'm thinking about, you're in the car and you're having a discussion with someone in the car and saying, that used to be the so-and-so building, but it's something else. So yeah, some of them would be hard to
Yes,
not to
yes,
be speaking about.
yes. Yes. Actually, here the sutta explains that it is not beneficial to the enlightenment. Okay? It's not beneficial to peace of mind or to the mindfulness. That's how Buddha explains there. And then with the worldly life, there can be such discussions. But we should know that when we talk this won't support my mindfulness. It's a principle. It's not something Buddha said because of hating that other people enjoyment, but he said, this is the principle. Because I met friends who said me that this idle chatter is very hard to practice. I mean, avoiding idle chatter is really hard to practice. And he said it's impossible. Impossible to do that. Yes, but we can start, we can talk, and then more we talk, we should know, more that we go away from the breathing, from the body. Then the challenge is also up to us next day to continue that. How can we live without taking care about the ministers in our country? Because if we don't elect, then they won't support us. Then we need to talk about that. Then we need to talk about the other, like the other things, like in our worldly life, about the food. Let's say someone asks you, what do we have today to eat? Then we don't speak. Because we say, oh, because Bhante said, I won't be able to meditate, so I don't speak to you about the food. No, that's ridiculous. That's really silly. That's not what he's saying here. But Buddha say, if you start about have you seen this media talks about the food? Is that truly for the purpose of overcoming hunger? Or is that for the purpose of enjoying the senses? Mostly, it's about enjoying the senses. I mean, for the, let's say in the advertising perspective, it will be for increasing the craving of the customer. But if it takes to the discussions in the radio, in the television, in the social media, is actually for the enjoyment. Because when we see the food, when we hear about the food, it has an enjoyment, but sadly, it blocks our inner growth, inner clarity, inner peace. Speech can be used to mindfulness. If we use it rightly, every word you speak will bring you so much joy to your heart and mindfulness to your heart. There are such speeches. But if we do other speeches, it will take us to the sense pleasures. Let's say I bought a new beautiful fancy cloth. It's so beautiful cloth. Then I start to describe about the cloth. This cloth has these beautiful parts like in the cloth. Then that increases the another person's craving, another person's greed, another person's attachment. But if we say, okay, I bought a cloth, this cloth is impermanent. This won't be like this forever. And we are giving detachment, and that is a relief for the listener.
Sorry, Bante.
Yes.
Also, Bante, sometimes I think it's so natural in the society that, especially during meal time, there will always be a conversation, because I am actually approached by few people many times, not many times, but few times during retreat, that I was sitting quietly and eat my lunch, but they came and they approached me and say, "Are you okay, Linda? What happened? Why, they are so, why are you so quiet? You're not talking." So I think,
Then slowly, because you need mindfulness, and you knew that it was not a good talk to start in a retreat, you mindfully give some like the mindful triggers, like kind of starting a Dhamma talk. What do you think about the loving kindness meditation? Then that person would start to talk loving kindness. I mean, in a circle where we meditate and where we do these skillful speeches, can be easy to turn them into the mindfulness discussion. What do you think about impermanence? I didn't really get what the Bhante said. Could you please tell me about impermanence? Yeah, we can shift the discussions, because that really happens in our discussions, because something most important is our peace of mind, isn't it? I remember one day while I was in tuition, while I was young, I went to the tuition class. The teacher said to us, "Children, if you want to speak, I will give you another day you can come to the class to speak. Please remember to bring the lunch, and I will give you the entire day to talk. But in this moment, children, please listen to this teaching I'm giving you, because it's really helpful to your goal. We cannot say that everyone will come to the mindfulness. We cannot say everyone will practice Dhamma. We cannot say that we can take everyone to the enlightenment. But if we do for ourselves, the next person next to us will also do it, because they will inspire. Why you don't talk? Then you say, I don't talk because, let's say, I meditate. What is the meditation? Then that person, if that person is wise, that person will start to practice the teachings. Okay.
that's very true, Bante. Let's give it a try next time.
Yes. Okay. Sound. May every one of us, by the power of this merit we accumulated by listening to the Dhamma, have the great opportunity to understand the Four Noble Truths in this Gautama Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. May our departed relatives rejoice in these merits. Especially, we would like to share these merits with the people in Sri Lanka who faced the cyclone and then passed away. May their lives also be protected, and by the power of this merit, may all the departed relatives be able to attain the Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And may my teacher Bhante and all the other Bhantes rejoice in these merits. May all the Bhantes be able to realize the Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And also, may all my friends who joined with me to this Dhamma talk and to the breathing meditation have the great opportunity to understand the Four Noble Truths in this Gautama Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.